Hi everyone, let's talk makeup. So today I have for you a review of the Too Faced Natural Matte Palette. This is, I believe this is the very first all matte palette for Too Faced. And I have it right here. I guess I should show you the shadows, right? It's a gorgeous, gorgeous palette. I've really enjoyed Too Faced shadows, and it's actually one of my favorite brands. I have the holiday palettes from the last 2 years, and I have really been in love with their like summer, spring collections for the last couple of years. I have, several of their palettes. I don't have all of them, but I have quite a few, and I do have the original chocolate bar palette. So I was hoping to do a little bit of comparison with their other palettes and kind of give you my overall thoughts on it. So yeah, let's get into it. So first off, you get nine beautiful matte shades. They're not all new. That first row up here is repeats from their natural palette. That one was not all matte, but so those first three are repeats. Now, if you have that palette, that might be a reason why you might not want this palette or might not be worth it to invest in it. I don't have that palette, so for me, this guy was totally worth it, and I felt like was a good investment. I've been really into matte shadows lately, and I like pairing them with shimmery shades, and I love wearing them on their own. Right now I do have, my look today is just the natural matte palette. So 9 beautiful shades. They blend really nicely. They're not too powdery. They work well with each other, and they work really well with other palettes. So if you like matte shadows, I think this is a really good one to have. If you don't have a lot of matte shadows, this is also a really good one to have. On the other hand, if you have a ton of other matte palettes, maybe not. Maybe this might not be the one for you. What attracted me to this one, and I know a lot of people are wondering how this compares to other recent matte palette releases, and frankly I don't have a lot of them. I like the recent Tarte all matte palette. I forgot what it's called. I didn't get that one, in part because I already had an all matte palette by Tarte, and I really like their shadows as well, but I have the Deep Magnificent palette, which is a really beautiful, see if I can show you. It's a really beautiful palette, and it has mostly purple tones, pinky and purple tones, and that's, I really like this. And I didn't, their newer palette has a lot of more cool tone shadows, and I prefer warmer tone shadows. And so when this one came out, I really liked that there were some really beautiful warm tone shadows, right? A lot of these here, not all of them are warm tone, but it is primarily, I think, a warm tone matte palette. So anyways, let me show you the swatches of these real quick. So I'm gonna swatch them in kind of the looks that Too Faced has created for us there. So up here, up top, we have Haven, which is a kind of yellow toned matte cream shade. Below that is the Cashmere Bunny, okay, cool tone brown. Then Sexpresso right below that, which is a darker brown. And then after that you have Lace Teddy, which is this, it looks a little bit pinky creamy tone color. It looks a little bit yeah, pinky, even with maybe a little bit of orange or coral there, but it's really pretty. It's what I have right now all over the lid. And then you have Strapless. Yeah, Strapless. I really like this color. I really like it all over the lid and on the crease. That is what I have in my crease right now. And layered on top of it is Risque, which is also a really beautiful color. I used it to deepen up my look today. I think it came out really, really nicely. Next up is Nudie. Now Nudie, it's an interesting name, but as you can see here, it doesn't show up on my skin tone. When I put it on my eyes, it's like I'm not putting anything there, or rather, it does kind of even up my eyelid, but it doesn't show up. I don't see color. It just matches my skin tone so much. So if you're my skin tone, it's not going to show up. I do think it will show up on lighter and darker skin tones. So that's great. Next up is Honey Butter. Beautiful creamy shade. And then lastly, you have Chocolate Cookie. Chocolate Cookie is a gorgeous warm tone color, and I love, 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 love it. And I probably would have worn it today, but I've been wearing it a lot. So, you know, Too Faced always does include these little how-to guides. So, and this is one of the things I really love about Too Faced, actually, that if you are new to makeup and want some look ideas, they've given you 3 look ideas, and that's how they've organized their palette, right? The day look, the classic look, and the fashion look. It makes these palettes really simple and great go-to palettes when you're in a hurry and you don't want to think about what look you're going to do on your eyes. You just grab one of these palettes and you grab a row of shades and you're done. Out the door. You know, so I really like it. So, even though I don't have a lot of full matte palettes, I did go through my other Too Faced palettes and try to find dupes for the shadows I have, and I found, you know, if you have, for example, the Chocolate Bar palette, or excuse me when I sniff, it's very similarly toned. A lot of the matte shadows in here have the same tones as the natural matte palette, but I did find that they were different enough. There's no exact dupes, so just similar tones. So something, if you have the Chocolate Bar palette, you might not need the matte palette unless you really love matte shadows. So very similarly toned. I did this one, the Romantic Eye palette, does have some matte shadows in here. I do an Unveil and Fashion, and actually they're very similar. Fashion's probably is really, really similar to the matte cream over here, but it's not exactly the same. I thought for some reason that I do an Unveil I was going to be able to dupe in the natural matte palette, but there was no exact dupe in there. The Rock and Roll palette doesn't have, New Romantic is very, very similar to that color up here, but it's different. It'll be different. If it shows up on your skin, it'll be different enough. This one's New Romantic in the Rock and Roll palette. If it shows up on your skin tone, it won't show up the same. It doesn't show up on my skin tone either, just like the Nudie doesn't show up, so not an issue there. Let's see, the Country palette doesn't have any matte. It does have some mattes, but again, it's the kind of all over shades over here, and they're different enough. What else? I have the A La Mode Eyes from one of the summer collections, and nope, no dupes there. There's definitely no dupes in my Tarte palette either. So what I want to say by going through that is that it is a palette worth having, this all matte palette. It does pair really nicely with a lot of these other Too Faced palettes, because a lot of these palettes don't have a lot of matte shadows. Like this one, for example, you know, it has a couple over here, but you can always throw in one of these with the other shadows, and that's actually how I've been using this palette a lot, and really loving that. Now, if you want an all-in-one palette, this might not be the one for you. If you want a mixture of shimmery, satin, glittery shades with the mattes, something like the Chocolate Bar palette, will work better for you. So yeah, I guess what it really depends on is what you already have in your collection and what you need in your collection. Obviously, if you love Too Faced or you love matte shadows, you're going to want to get this guy. You probably already have it. If not, then I think this is a really good one to have and worth it. So yeah, and I should mention, by the way, that I got this soon as it came out on the Ulta website. It was released on Ulta first. Bought it on my own. I know a lot of people got sent these palettes, but Too Faced doesn't know who I am. Purchased this with my own money. Got it immediately when it came out. So I've been playing with it for a while now and have really been loving it. You can see that it can create beautiful looks just with this palette and pair it with other ones. So let me know how you like the Too Faced the Natural Matte palette if you have it, or if you're thinking about getting it, or maybe if you're going to pass on it and why. I think that would be good for other people to see in the comments too, why you're not getting it. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you next time. Bye.